NASM is giving you free courses. That's right, free courses each month just for being part of the NASM family. Learn about everything ranging from nutrition to strength, weight loss to stress relief, and everything in between. Click the link in the bio for information and to claim your free course before they're gone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Random Fit. I am Wendy Batts, and I'm here with my friend and colleague, Mr. Ken Miller. Ken, how are you today?
I am awesome, Wendy. How are you?
Living a dream.
Yes, you
no
are.
place I'd rather be. But guys, I am super, super excited about our podcast today because we have a seven-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA team selection, a 2-time NCAA champion, an NBA Hall of Famer, a co-owner of the Atlanta Hawks, a commentator, a businessman, a father, a husband, a friend, and one of my favorite people in the entire world, Mr. Grant Hill. So Grant, welcome to our show. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, no, thanks for having me. And thank you for that very kind introduction, Wendy. And I look forward to our discussion today. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So Ken, you want to kick us off? I know you've got a bunch of questions for
I
Mr.
do.
Hill here.
I do. I had to trim it down to 3 pages. I was like, no way, we're talking to Grant Hill. Mr. Hill, great. When it comes to the NBA, you spent, a lot of years, quintuple the normal lifespan of somebody who goes into the NBA. And in that time, again, Wendy mentioned your collegiate accolades and what you've done professionally, and definitely injuries winds up being something that you're gonna incur at some point in time, right? And when it comes to the professional level, and I know that you're retired now, but you're doing a lot. You're still a busy man, right? But when it comes to maintaining, going through, let's say, rehab or the reconditioning and getting back into to that high level of competition, or even just getting back to, I just want to be able to walk around the block. I just want to be able to stay in shape. What would you tell somebody who may be at the professional level still, or even those that are just wanting to stay healthy? What's your recommendation or suggestion, or things that they should keep in mind when it comes to just stay in shape, get past, getting past an injury or some kind of deficit to get to where we need to be physically?
Yeah, I think no matter what level, what stage you're at, whether you're, an aging professional athlete, a weekend warrior, middle-aged, which unfortunately I am these days, I think the most important thing is to take that first start and to get your body moving. One thing I've learned, and I've had a series of ailments and injuries and setbacks like most athletes have, but one thing I've learned is, you got to keep the body moving and you got to stay active, and particularly with injuries. What they say, motion is lotion. And so having, proper mobility, but also activity, I think is important. And, the body is meant for that. And so you got to obviously do it at your pace, your comfort level. I'm at a point now where I can't run anymore. I have a lot of arthritis. I've had a lot of surgeries. As Wendy talked about, 19 years in the NBA, it takes its toll. But there's still ways to be active. There's still ways to be healthy and to be fit. And I just think it's a decision you have to make and a commitment, and just continue forward with that. And I know for me, one of my challenges is once you get out of the routine of being a professional athlete, because you have trainers and you have therapists and everyone there sort of working with you, and then all of a sudden you're retired and you're on your own, and so right. You're not playing anymore, and so you have to and then you have injuries and you have things that you have to deal with. And so, but I know I'm at my best, and just as just in terms of being happy, being fulfilled, and being healthy, when I'm active, when I'm working out, when I'm eating right, when I'm doing the necessary things, I tend to have a more pleasant, productive life, if you will.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, it's funny because I used to work with collegiate athletes, and one of the players I used to work with, we connected some years later. She goes, you know what, Coach? When I was working out with you at Cal, I didn't realize that 3 days a week, I was getting some of the best workouts I've ever gotten, and then now I've got to pay someone $100 a session to take me through the same stuff, right? So when you talk about with the team, you have the athletic trainers, the physical therapists, anybody who would take care of you, and then when you're on your own, you're on your own. You got to find your own resources. So let me ask you this, because now you're in ownership. You've got a lot of things going on from a business standpoint. How do you approach self-care now? Since you brought that up, now you're happy and you're just trying to stay active. And I love that phrase, motion is lotion. So how do you incorporate self-care then into your daily routine to get over these things that your body has accumulated over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm in a unique situation because I did have some serious injuries, and there was some real concern, some doubt as to whether I'd ever come back and play. And I had to sort of learn about my body, learn how to take care of myself, through that process. And I think that aided me and allowed me to play 9 more years after a devastating ankle injury, and play till I was 40. And so you pick up things, you learn things along the way, and you try to continue with that sort of approach. And, everything from the foods you put into your body, I think that's important, particularly when you're dealing with, arthritis, and I know certain foods and certain, beverages, certain, alcohol, things of that nature, it affects how I feel. And I'm very much in tune with that, as most athletes are. I think your rest, getting sleep and being disciplined and diligent about your rest, about recovering, and then your workouts. Staying active, continuing to do cardio, swim. I just did the Peloton this morning.
Nice.
And so just keeping that going. And then for me, and really, NASM, the principles, the foundation, I think a lot of what kept me going are things I learned through NASM. And so I have an arthritic ankle. I have an ankle, Wendy's seen my ugly ankle, worked on it. And,
I wasn't going to go there, by the way, but okay.
No, it's a bad ankle. And I know that if I don't do my corrective exercises, if I don't, foam roll, if I don't, do and I know my body, I know I don't probably do it as well if somebody were working on me doing manual therapy, but if I don't foam roll, if I don't, do my correctives, then it hurts my ankle. It affects and impacts my ankle. And so I don't want to be in pain. I want to be able to be active. I want to be able to take walks. I want to be able to play golf. I want to be able to, wake surf. I still want to have fun. And I know I can't play basketball anymore, but, I can't do those things if I don't do my 2 walks and my TKEs and my glute bridges and step ups. And I was paying attention, Wendy. I was.
I'm very proud of you. I'm like, that boy. Yeah. All right. Well, Grant, I have one for you. So you played with multiple teams. Obviously, I know your last team that you played with and how well you played. But can you kind of give us an idea of how did the different types of training staff work with you? I mean, did you see consistency across the board, or did teams have completely different approaches? Or did you even notice a difference until I know the Suns did stuff specifically following the NASM curriculum. However, some of the other teams, I think, had different approaches.
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like my career was in 3 different stages. Early on in Detroit, we had we had a guy there who was at the time we thought was ahead of his time and did some interesting things. Didn't believe in sort of heavy lifting. But, I was young, I was young and you feel like you're invincible. And, I thought ice was for your drink. I didn't know you put ice on your body. And then, I ended up having a devastating injury as I transitioned to Orlando. And it was very archaic, it was a lot of Olympic lifts. It was sort of very old school in their approach, not just in terms of training, but also, just the medical and sort of the old athletic training model, if you will, that was sort of archaic in the past. And, when I left Orlando and went to Phoenix, I had been through a lot and missed a considerable amount of time, was unsure if I could really play in Phoenix because they were an up-tempo team and ran up and down the court, played heavy minutes. And then I went out there and was introduced to this NASM model that the Suns had incorporated. And, I just, I thought I'd play maybe a year or two and ended up playing 6 more years and went from a guy who really couldn't stay healthy in recent years to all of a sudden I'm an Iron Man. Like I'm playing every game. I'm not missing games. I'm playing heavy minutes. And so I needed that after a dark period in Orlando. I needed that, mentally and emotionally to be, I wasn't the same player. I was older. I had an ankle that, had some restrictions and limitations. But to be able to play and be productive and be healthy was huge. And so there was a noticeable difference. I'm writing a book right now, my memoir, and so and it'll be released next year. And I remember vividly when I signed in Phoenix and I went out there for my press conference to sign in 2007. And I went to the training staff and they conducted an evaluation. And, they had me put my hands in the air and do the squats and do all these different things and testing my range of motion and internal rotation, dorsiflexion. I was paying attention. And I was amazed at like the detail and the level of care that, that they were providing me, which was, like I said, all part of this NASM model. And on the drive back from the facility to the Biltmore Hotel, like I got emotional, like because I felt like, wow, like with all that I had been through, 5 surgeries, a horrible staph infection, a skin flap to repair tissue and skin as a result of the staph infection, missing 4 years of my prime. And now like I'm getting like this level of care that I so desired. It confirmed in that moment that I made the right decision. And even then, I didn't realize just how good it was, how impactful and important it was for me as I proceeded forward, and was able to play till I was 40, as a result.
You should have played till 41, by the way. you had it in you.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that. So back when I was going through all my injuries in my early 30s, I used to say in late 20s, I'll make it up on the back end. I'll play till I'm 40. And at 40, I think my body just expired. So I should have said 55.
So Grant, I think, one thing people don't understand is when you're a professional athlete, there's a lot that happens, not just trying to prepare for the games on and off the court. I mean, you are always, at the peak, and you took such good care of yourself. You usually did what you were told, especially at the gym. But can you kind of give us an idea, like as a professional athlete, going to different cities and traveling as much as you do, like what is a day in the life of Grant Hill when you were playing, or even now, because I know it's probably even more chaotic with everything you have going on. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think when you played, obviously your body is important. And so, and as you get older, recovery, rest is part of your regimen. And so, when we were in Phoenix and let's say we were going to Denver and we were going to play them the next day, we'd fly on a team plane, we'd get in, maybe, late afternoon, and I would instantly go right to the hotel gym. and either get a light lift in, or maybe even just get on the bike for 10, 20 minutes and get my body moving. I thought that was really important, particularly after being on a flight. Nothing strenuous, but just sort of flushing my legs out a bit, and helping me. And I felt like that would help me the next day in the game. Try to get a good meal, eat healthy, get my rest, try to go to bed at a reasonable hour. And then the next day, I like to say athletes a lot of times are creatures of habit. So, when you wake up in the morning, what time you get up, what you eat for breakfast. I used to keep it pretty simple. Usually hotels had what I liked. If we had a shoot around, we'd go to shoot around, and we, prepare for the opponent, and get up and down, get a lather a little bit. A lot of times that morning before shoot around, I'd lift. I used to lift every day. Mike Elliott, who was the strength coach, we used to call him Cowboy. He was a strength coach for the Suns. He's now I think the head of medical for the Utah Jazz. I would lift with Mike. I might have the all-time record for lifts, and I'm not a big guy. I wasn't a big guy, but I would lift in the morning of games. I would lift right before games, and a lot of times it was activating my body. It was getting me loose, getting me warm. An off-day lift might have been very different than a game day lift. But, I felt that it got me ready. It got me prepared. There was something mentally and psychologically, I think, that went with it. But also, I think from a physical standpoint, it really helped me and get me, it helped me stay healthy. And so, anyway, I know I'm all over the place with that answer, but just preparing yourself for the game that night, and then off days, once again, preparing yourself. I did not take days off. Even an off day, I would try to do something. It might be go in and ride the bike for a little bit, get a light lift, maybe go for a light swim, do something. But I never took off entirely, because I felt like a day off, you needed a whole day to recover, to get that day back, if that makes sense. And so, now I try to do that. And it's a little bit harder at times, but you just have to be a little bit more disciplined, a little bit more creative. And I don't have, a bevy of people at my disposal who tell me what to do. I have to actually think about it now myself, which I kind of miss, being told what to do. But yeah, just stay active, stay busy, and make it a priority. That's the most important thing.
So question that was a lot of great stuff there, Grant. So because you're still involved with basketball, with ownership and everything, and I love your shirt, by the way, and mentorship's important when it comes to bringing younger players up and making sure that they are durable and they can last as long as they can last in chasing their dream and playing a great sport like basketball. So what would you advise somebody who's coming up in the league, maybe first, second year, that they need to do for themselves? So you figured out over time, it took you a while to gather that information that, it took for you to, get to 40 years old and still play. What's your advice for somebody who wants to play into their late 30s and into their 40s as well? I mean, we see it a lot right now with, Tom Brady and Drew Brees, these players that have played or still playing into, years not really seen before for their sport. So what would you advise somebody as a mentor in getting somebody to stay in their field longer?
Well, I think first and foremost, your career goes by fast. Even, in my case, playing till I was 40, you look back at it, it's like you blink your eye and you're like, wow, like it all, just happens quickly. And so, I think you want to enjoy it, but you want to give it your all and get as much out of it as you can. Once it's over, it's over, and there's no turning back. And you're right. I mean, there are examples of athletes in all sports who are playing later and playing at a high level. And so what was when I entered the NBA, I remember I was 21 years old, 4 years in college at Duke. I went to Detroit, and I said to myself, I won't play past I'm 34. Like 34 is old. Like who wants to play at 34? Like that's just too old. And nowadays you have players at 34 in their late 30s still playing at a high level. So embracing the idea of like taking care of yourself, embracing this notion that you can play into your 40s, understanding, what it takes, training, rest, eating right, all these things that were kind of foreign to me and not on my radar when I was 21. I think now, because of the work you guys do and NASM, and like, I think people now are more aware. I think trainers and professional sports teams are more aware and understanding of the body and what it takes, and looking at the body from a global perspective as opposed to a regional perspective. And so, this is your livelihood. In some sports, particularly in mine, your earning capacity, the amount of money that players can make in today's game. As I like to say, as long as they're giving out free money, you better play as long as you can.
You remember that as a team owner, by the way. So. So those of you guys that are joining us, we're here with our very special guest, Mr. Grant Hill. And Grant, again, thank you for taking the time to join us. But I have a question kind of bringing you back before you even went to the NBA. So your dad obviously was a very successful NFL player, your mother an attorney. So when you're growing up with, two, I'm sure, unbelievable parents that have probably their way of life, how was it growing up in that? And then, were you pressured to play football because of your dad, or were you playing multiple sports? Like, how did you actually get into basketball? Like, what brought you there?
Yeah, no, great question. I mean, first of all, my parents, were and are incredible. They were achievers, and so there was, an expectation that, you would do something with your life. You would be productive, you would embrace education, you would give your all in everything that you pursued. And so that was there. There wasn't necessarily a pressure, but they were supportive. I like to say that, and as a metaphor, parenting, there's 12 inches between a pat on the back and a pat on the butt. And as a parent, you got to do both, but the key is contact. And so my parents were very much, engaged and involved with all their accomplishments and their schedules. They were there. And so that's something that, I try to, incorporate with my daughters as well. I forgot the last part of your question.
Were you ever pressured? I mean, was it more like we want you to go into football, or, did you play multiple sports?
So for me, I grew up, obviously my dad played for the Cowboys, Redskins. I mean, as a little kid, I had a football in my hand, helmet on, like I wanted to play football, and that was my first love. Now, my dad didn't want me to play until I got to high school, and in part was because he didn't play until he got to high school, and he also didn't want some like Pop Warner Little League parent thinking they were Vince Lombardi. He felt like, you got to be more developed to play football. And, he played back in the 70s where, sports medicine was like non-existent, take a pill, shoot up, go out there. His story, you think my stories are bad. His stories are incredible. But, and so the plan, I guess, was for me to wait until I got to high school. Now, in the interim, I started off playing soccer, and I grew up in Northern Virginia, and that was a big sport. And my goal was, one day to be the next Pele. And I realized in middle school that wasn't going to happen. I had a better chance of being the next Dr. J. And so I played basketball. I was tall. I was really good at it. And really just sort of focused on basketball as I went into high school. And, the rest was sort of history there. But By the time I got to high school, I was 6'5" as a freshman, maybe like 120 pounds. So my frame, was not conducive to being a, running back in football. But it all worked out well. But sometimes I wish I had played football just one time. I wish I had the opportunity, but never happened.
No, that's awesome. Well, I'm going to ask you another one, seeing how we're talking about family really quick. With you, obviously, with everything that you have and such a busy schedule. I mean, and you are a present dad. You are super involved with your family and your girls. And then you've got Tamia, who's your wife. She's a Grammy-nominated singer in her own right, who has an unbelievable story as well. Like, how do you guys find that balance? Like, how do you make it work? Because you guys are all over the place, and you've got 2 kids in sports. That tell us your secret sauce. How do you bring it together?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I think we're in a good groove right now. One thing that's hard, I think, when you retire from playing, it's sort of finding out, okay, what's next. You're 40 years old. You play basketball. There's a rhythm and a flow to your life. There's sort of in season, there's a schedule, we all know what it is, and then there's sort of freedom in the off season. And that's sort of your routine, and that's all you know. And then all of a sudden you retire, and then it's okay, what do you do? And some people choose to sort of like do nothing. You want to decompress, you want to get off the hamster wheel and just sort of slow down and enjoy life, if you will. I think for me, I wanted to stay fulfilled. I wanted to stay busy. I wanted to, try new things, keep myself busy, figure out what I like, what I don't like, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. And I probably spread myself out a little bit too thin. And I think I had to reel things back in a bit and just, okay, let me refocus. I don't even know if you know this, Wendy, but I 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, August of 19, I got really sick. I ended up having surgery on my lung, and so I was pretty much out. I had an infection in my lung that had to be removed, and I didn't know you could remove an infection. But so anyway, it just kind of, I don't know. I feel like I was worn out. I was doing too much, and I got a little bit out of balance. And so. So, we've been in quarantine. We've been, because of COVID. I was kind of quarantined, prior to COVID for about 4 or 5 months. But it just helped me kind of press the reset button, get a little bit more balanced, learn to it's just like in sports, just like with your body, you have to learn how to recover. You have to learn how to walk away and take the time to rest, and like the same thing. And so I kind of reprioritize things. I think COVID has been in a way, and I don't want to be insensitive, but it's been a blessing in that, or if there's silver lining, that we're all together. We spent more time together. So, for me, it's important as a parent, as a husband, and then for your own time, to be able to have your own downtime when you can, be by yourself. And it's taken me a while to figure that out in retirement, but I like kind of where I'm at. And I think that's important. I think we get caught up in life, and we get caught up in pursuing our career goals and just getting on that hamster wheel. And we gotta find that balance in our life. And I think if we do, then we'll be more productive and have an opportunity to enjoy the ride and the journey, as opposed to just, going and hitting a wall eventually at some point.
Well, if this is you slowing down, we're in a lot of trouble. So I can barely keep up with you as it is. But when we're talking about the family, you've got 2 super successful girls that are playing sports right now, totally different sports. But based on obviously the things that you have been through, based on what you know of getting your body right, preparing for activity at a kind of high level, do you kind of give them advice on what to do, and then do they actually listen to you?
That's the big question. And Wendy, you just wait. My daughters, I have a 19-year-old who played a number of different sports growing up, focused on basketball in high school, but she's actually doing MMA and jiu-jitsu. And it's the craziest thing in the world, but also like the coolest thing in the world. And so, you know, she's into that. My youngest is 13. She's a soccer player. Like she's, you know, I know I sound like a little league parent, but like she's incredible. Like I hate to put that pressure on her, but like she has a chance to be really, really special. And you know what's funny? I try to the different personalities. I try to like selectively offer suggestions, but they don't listen to anything I have to say. So I have to pay somebody to come in to tell them the same thing I would say. You know, it's like, and you know, I first of all, my oldest one, like just because I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu and MMA, like anything I'll say to her, it's like she just rolls her eyes, you know. And then my youngest one, you know, she's had, you know, soccer, you know, girls soccer can be real physical. And so, you know, I'll get my Mark Pro, I'll have her do exercises, and she's looking at me like, Dad, they don't do that anymore. It's not the dark ages, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll bring somebody in to work with her, and he's, you know, telling her the exact same thing that I'm telling her, you know. And so, but I'm mindful of the fact that I didn't listen to my dad either. And, you know, he would tell me things. He'd say, Grant, you know, you should take a nap before your game. I'm like, a nap? Like, I'm 13. Why do I need to take a nap? You know, and he lost all credibility with me when I was in high school. He told me on free throws I should shoot it off the backboard, and I said off the back, like that makes no sense whatsoever. And so I just, you know, instantly tuned him out, and I feel like my children are tuning me out. But you know, I'll say this: they do, I think, listen. They just don't want you to know they're listening.
Right.
And I think they also saw the work that I put into it, and I think that had an effect. They were young, but I think as they're going through their sport now, I'm proud that they take it serious. They have fun. I don't have unrealistic expectations. I think for young women to be in sports, to be engaged in sports, the values that sports teach you. I'm proud. Team sports, individual sports. There's more women in C-suites in corporate America who have an athletic background. So that's my only sort of, you know, like, obviously I get excited. Obviously I sometimes allow myself to, wow, what if she did this and went here and this, that, and the other. But I'm just glad that they get the experience of being an athlete. And I think that'll be tremendous for them and, you know, in the rest of their lives.
So question for you, because I'm really curious, because I've got two young ones that are starting to get involved with sports, and my daughter swims, plays water polo, and my son's doing a little bit of baseball now. What are some, you know, and I want them to be able to pursue their dreams, especially if it's from the physical side of things. If there's things that they can do at a young age, again, we were just talking about what it takes to, you know, be in the league as long as you can want to be in the league. So kind of shifting that age range a little bit, what are some of the non-negotiables, if you will, when it comes to, okay, this is what you got to do? I mean, your dad told you to take a nap, right? So what are some of the things that, you know, your daughter's got a tournament, you know, and soccer is just no joke, like you said, and certainly MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But what are some of the things that you say, this is what you got to do if you want to do this into high school, maybe college, or in your early adulthood? What are some of the things that you say, come on now, this, listen to me if you want to or not, but this has to happen?
So, and this probably comes more from than for me, because I'm always mindful that there's pressure on them because of you know what I've done, and I experienced it a little bit with my dad. You know, just you know, not from him directly, but just indirectly, him being a professional athlete, the expectations. It just so happened I played a different sport, so you know, and I found my way early. I had success, you know, in freshman year in high school. Like I was on that trajectory. But, you know, I saw with my older daughter when she played basketball, and just, you know, the expectations and the pressure that I think that was there as a result of of me being her father. So I'm always sort of sensitive not to, I'm just dad. Like I don't, I don't get on them. I'm supportive. I clap, I cheer. Now my wife, she on the other hand, but I mean, I think the thing that she really emphasized, and I agree with her, is that, look, if we're paying all this money and we're traveling all over the place and you're on this team, the only thing we ask is you give it your all. And, you can control your effort. You can control your attitude. You can control, your preparation. You can't always control the results. You can't control playing time. There's a lot of variables that go into it. But we just want you to be the best version of yourself. And so, that's pretty much it. We're not driving down, we're not driving to Atlanta for the weekend for 3 games and you just go through the motions, and we got other things we can do. And so thankfully, they've embraced that. And also, like I said, if you don't feel pressured to do this, like my youngest one, super talented, and really for a while, like I didn't know if she would continue with it. Like I just, and then she kind of just on her own fell in love with it. You can't teach hunger. You can't and it's funny, and I don't mean to put my children's business out there, but my oldest one played basketball and was good at it, but she didn't love it. And we had a basketball goal at our house. We had one of those. We had a machine that rebounded for you, and I used it more than she did. And I used to tell my wife, she doesn't love it. And when she decided to quit before her senior year, and she was being recruited, in some Division II schools, and I wasn't surprised. Like she's found her passion, and she loves what she's doing. And when you find that, you don't have to tell them to work on their game. You don't have to hey, you need to go outside and practice. And so my little one has found it with soccer. Like now she's like, Dad, take me to the field and put me through drills. And I'm like, drills? Like I don't know soccer, so I'm going on YouTube looking at soccer drills, and I'm trying to be a soccer coach. But when they find their passion and they love what they do, then they'll do it, and you can you don't have to tell them to do it. And so I'm grateful, because a lot of people don't have that. They don't have a passion. They're just kind of going through life, doing whatever to get by. But it's fun watching. It's fun supporting. I am that father, and I'll have to send you guys this photo. I'm the father who records all the soccer games, and I have this obnoxious camera that goes up 20 feet, and it's always an ego thing when the parents on the other team show up and they have their camera, and my camera's bigger and it goes higher up, more elaborate. And I record all the games, and then I upload the games into a cloud for all the families to be able to access. And so in case my broadcasting career doesn't work, I can always do that. I do a lot of it.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's awesome. And good to know, I guess. Very good to know. So, but if we bring it back to you, Grant, I think one of the questions that I always hear people ask, hey, when Grant was playing, who were his, I guess, favorite teammates to play with, and why? And I don't know the answer to that, so I'm going to ask you, who were your boys? Why did you like playing with them? And do you still keep in touch and do pickup games?
Yeah, I don't play pickup games, but I do keep in touch. 19 years, you play with a bunch of different guys, and I was lucky to have some great teammates. Detroit, Allen Houston, Lindsey Hunter, Mike Curry. Those are guys that I still talk to, still communicate with to this day. In Orlando, the head coach, for the Phoenix Suns, Monty Williams. When I was going through a real dark period in Orlando, he lived 2 houses down from me, and he and his late wife, who sadly died in a car accident, were very close to Tamia and I. we actually named our second daughter Lael after his oldest daughter, Lael. And we thought she was just the most amazing little girl and incredible family. So Monty was and still is very close and has his team playing great basketball now in Phoenix as they're in the conference finals. And then in Phoenix, guys like Steve Nash and Jared Dudley, Channing Frye, Jason Richardson. That team was close and that team was special. And so I was fortunate that I played with some incredible people. I learned from them. I shared, we shared our families, going out, hanging out. You miss that. You miss being connected on a daily basis with your teammates. But I was fortunate to have some great. I missed some. I didn't mention everyone, but those were some of the ones. Even Steve Nash. I mean, I'm broadcasting his series against Milwaukee, and I'm sitting right there on the floor with Marv Albert across, from the benches, and like when Kevin Durant would make an incredible play, like Steve and I would look at each other like, "Can you believe that?" And so when you share that bond and that sense of brotherhood with a teammate, and you go through the battles and the ups and the downs and the emotional roller coaster, those connections are for a lifetime. And so whether we go weeks, months, even years at times without seeing or speaking, when we do see each other, it's an instant, like we're back to being in the locker room and back to being buddies.
Awesome. Who would be your toughest component that you ever played against and why?
Yeah, I think, well, I for me, I think the late Kobe Bryant was probably the toughest. And, Kobe was an incredible competitor and the ultimate challenge. Somehow, some way, as I got older, with one ankle, I became a stopper, It's like, hey, yeah, Grant, you're 38 with a bad ankle. Why don't you go guard Kobe, And I must have been delusional because I said, yeah, I can do it. Let's go, but he was always, I actually enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed the challenge, the chess match, just competing against him. You knew he was always going to be in attack mode. He was relentless. He was mentally as tough and as strong as any player. I couldn't go back at him on the other end because I just, that wasn't my role and at that point in my career. But he was the toughest, and certainly, it's just incredibly sad, and he still will always be missed. But great competitor, great guy. Got a chance to get to know him through the years, and I'd put him at the top on this.
Nice. Okay, so I need you to. Tony and I have a bet. Okay. What is your least favorite exercise that you probably don't do today, but you still had to do when you were playing?
Wall slides.
Oh, we both win.
Yes. Yeah. Wall slides. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
that was my least favorite, and I actually, when you asked that question, I got a little like shock, just the thought of it. Like both of you were such sticklers on like just doing it the right way. The mechanics. You guys would turn your head, and I would just kind of do it, and then and I'd be at 3 and I'd say 8 and 9, 10, jump ahead in the order there. But the wall slides, in honor of you two, I will do some wall slides today.
I love it. That's a good answer. Well, I know we have taken up a ton of your time, and if you are okay with this, I want to do a rapid fire Q&A with you.
Okay.
So that way our listeners get to know you a little bit better, and I think some of the answers will be interesting for me as well. So if you're ready, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Just first thing that comes to mind. What's your favorite song that Tamia sings?
So Into You.
Nice. Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite signature shoe?
Never forget your first. Grant Hill ones.
Favorite basketball team growing up?
Los Angeles Lakers.
Favorite non-basketball sport?
Soccer.
Favorite female trainer ever?
Wendy.
Good answer. Favorite food indulgence?
Pizza.
Favorite city to visit?
Atlanta.
Favorite all-time player in any sport?
Magic Johnson.
Nice. Favorite type of physical activity that you do now?
Golf.
Nice. Most memorable moment?
The birth of my children.
Good answer. And the last one, what is something that people don't know about you?
Oh, man. It's a good question. Do I want people to know this?
Yes, you do.
As I've gotten older and away from the game, I'm more emotional in my middle age. Yes.
Right. That's good.
Yeah.
Tony cries at sappy movies too, so it's all good.
I tend to, I'm crying, like what? I'm like crying. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why am I crying? Like I'm losing my toughness. You know, what's going on? And this, by the way, Wendy's my favorite female, but also the toughest trainer. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, man, like, I had to make sure I ate my Wheaties. I was like, I gotta get my head right, because this is not going to be easy at all.
Hey, it's always about proper form. That's what I tell every trainer. You want to be good, keep them in proper form, and don't let them cheat.
Hey, you ain't never.
You got to take a nap before you train with Wendy. All right. So, hey, thank you so much. This has been by far one of the best podcasts that we've recorded here on Random Fit. So, Mr. Grant, thank you so much. Mr. Hill, sorry. Thank you so much for. See, I told Wendy, man, I'm all tongue-tied, and we haven't even started yet. So here we're at the end, and I'm still tongue-tied. So thank you so much. This has been awesome, for me, and I'm sure our viewers and listeners certainly appreciate it. So thank you so much for being with us here today. So for you all listening to the Random Fit Show, thank you so much for being here. We had our honored and distinguished guest, Mr. Grant Hill. And if you like what you saw today, listened to today, like, follow, subscribe, download, and we'll be sure to get more great interviews and topics for the Random Fit Show. So until next time, thank you guys for being here. Take care and be well.